Nigeria's electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, declared the Adamawa state governorship election inconclusive as Governor Amadu Umaru Fintiri of the PDP faced a challenge from the APC's Aishatu Binani. The election, which Nigerians across the country are now paying rapt attention to due to its intricacies, has seen both main candidates trade words and accusations of vote rigging, harassment, and even incitement of voters. Although Fintiri, after the polls were counted, led Benini with more than 30,000 votes, counseled votes were more than the margin between both candidates. INEC also declared the governorship election in Kebbi State as well inconclusive. So now April 15th is the day for supplementary governorship elections, which would be held in Adamawa and Kebbi States, with 5 senatorial districts as well as 31 federal and 58 state assembly constituency elections also to be held across the country. Joining me now is retired Lieutenant Commander Ibrahim Babaina, the governorship candidate of the People's Redemption Party, as we look at the Adamawa situation. Lieutenant Colonel, retired, good evening, and thank you so much for joining me on Politics HQ.
Yes, good evening, and it's Lieutenant Commander Ibrahim Babaina, retired. Good evening.
All right. So we've seen a lot of accusations and even counter accusations flying about concerning the Adamawa gubernatorial election. So when you look back on March 18, where does your party, the People's Redemption Party, stand on how the elections played out that day?
Oh, thank you very much for having me on your program. Yes, March 18th has come and gone. As we are all aware, the election is inconclusive, as declared by INEC. For the People's Redemption Party, we all know is the oldest political party in Nigeria, 1978, and is still surviving up to date. For the People's Redemption Party, for the election in Adamawa is between the top two, the PDP and APC. That's just the truth. And we are waiting for INEC to finally conclude the whole exercise so that we now know who will be the next governor of Adamawa State. Yes, as you said, there has been a lot of talk, horse trading between the two political parties and on what really transpired on the 18th and 19th of March. But as we've said in the People's Redemption Party, we are still in it, and we are waiting for when it will be declared, maybe by the April 15th, when the election will be held.
So looking at a breakdown of the votes for Adamawa, the APC's candidate, Aishatu Binani, got 390,275 votes, while the incumbent governor, Amadu Fintiri of the PDP, polled just over 421,000 votes. INEC State Coalition Officer, Professor Mahmoud Mele of the University of Maiduguri, declared the election inconclusive due to the margin. He noted that elections were not held in 47 wards, which affected 69 polling units, which gave us a margin of just over 31,000. And the total number of PVCs collected in places where elections were not held amounted to 37,016. So in your estimation as a candidate who also took part in this election, as well as your party, was the decision to declare the election inconclusive the right one?
Well, since with what they noticed that the 69 polling units that came up, and at the same time about 37,000 votes that were not cast, yes, I respect the decision of INEC in taking that it was inconclusive. Yes, before then we had different sides. The APC said they had won, then later on the PDP. But when INEC finished collating, because when all this celebration was ongoing, INEC was still collating local governments. They had not finished concluding the local government. And I'm sure we all know the very famous local government in Adamawa State, Fufore, that was let's say the last local government that was given a lot of issues. So as at when both parties were celebrating, INEC had not yet finally concluded collating. So it's when INEC finally concluded, it now discovered that those PUs that were not really captured yet, it had to be inconclusive. And yes, I agree with INEC on that.
So let's talk about the PRP in Adamawa State. Some would say that the party did not succeed in imprinting itself on the minds of voters in the state and can't really be seen as opposition. You yourself have said that this supplementary election, the governorship election that's going to happen, is really between the APC and the PDP's candidate. So where do you see the PRP in the grand scheme of things when it comes to Adamawa State? Do you really see the party as a viable opposition party?
Well, the party never fielded any candidate, a governorship candidate in 2015 2015, 2019. But in 2023, we have a governorship candidate. We had all the 25 state House of Assembly members. We had 7 out of 8 House of Reps and 3 senators. Before now, we've never had such numbers that have come in to this election. So yes, the PRP, being the oldest political party, yes, didn't perform very well. But at the same time, if we look at the past where we are coming from and now, we are really making progress. And politics is really evolving in Nigeria. Beavers is really a game changer, whatever anyone will say. Before now, we had states bringing 1 million votes. But apart from Kano in this election, no other state was able to bring up such amount of numbers. So yes, Beavers is working. And with what we are bringing in, the People's Redemption Party, because we're able to field candidates in 21 states in Nigeria, not only Adamawa. So the PRP is really work in progress, and we've started the journey. We have 4 more years until 2027. We will get back to the drawing board and see how we can learn from our errors and our mistakes so that before 2027, we will come out stronger.
So I like that, because it takes me to what would have been one of my final questions in terms of the lessons that the People's Redemption Party learned from this last election. What are some of those lessons for you?
Well, we all know politics is capital intensive, and at the same time, we really needed to get down to the grassroots. Yes, we had our limitations. We couldn't do what the big 2 parties could do. But as I said, compared to the past, we really came out this time, and a lot of people were still able to hear about us. That's why some voted for us. If we had the capacity, if we had the structure,
All right, so it looks like we're having some technical difficulties there with my guest. Looking at the supplementary election in Adamawa State that's expected to be held on April the 15th. Now, a number of issues have come up in that particular situation from March the 18th, when the governorship election, along with a number of others that held in Nigeria, also held. But I do believe I have my guest back with me. Lieutenant Commander retired, are you back with me now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you were talking about the lessons that the People's Redemption Party has learned in this past election cycle. You said you, of course, fielded more candidates around 21 states in the country, and that there's conversations to be had around issues around financing and much more. Let's quickly wrap that up before we move on.
So yes, financing, and at the same time, we really need to get people who really believed in what we were going to do. The PRP being the oldest political party, but most of the people on the platform of the PRP are youths, like me too. So we are really sending the message down, and we are going to get back to the drawing board and see how we can improve it. Yes, the big political parties have been around for some time. They've been in power. They've done this and done that, but the People's Redemption Party has not been there. So we are getting the message down there. We've seen where the errors are. We've seen the mistakes we've made. And I'm sure in the next few weeks and months, we will surely sit down and start talking.
So let's talk about the Independent National Electoral Commission. So with the election that held on March 18th in Adamawa, it was more about the numbers of the votes, making that decision, leading to the decision for it to be declared inconclusive. But around the country, there are a lot of criticisms and complaints about INEC's handling of the elections from February the 25th to now this one. Some said INEC did get a bit better. When you look at the upcoming supplementary elections, what are you expecting from INEC?
Well, in the end, it's the people that will determine who is going to be elected the governor of Adamawa State, not INEC. But INEC, compared to 25th and now, they've improved. The Fufore we are talking about, there were so many figures that were flying around: 37, 67, 26, 25, 24. But when they went back to the IREV and downloaded it, the results came in with the last collation results that came in, almost the same, it tallied. So that means the IREV, the technology employed by INEC, is really working. So yes, some places we have to give them, we commend them, but at the same time, we tell them that they need to improve, because a lot of money was given to INEC. They had 4 years to really improve in so many things. And what the Nigerian people wanted was give us hope. All INEC needed to do was reduce so many of the doubts that has been raised in this election. People are not really against the result, but what INEC promised, they didn't really fulfill in the end. So INEC is trying in some places, but at the same time, they really need to improve in what they are doing.
All right, finally, as a member of the opposition, how much faith do you really have in INEC to be able to deliver credible, free and fair elections for the people of Adamawa on April 15th?
Well, if the people of Adamawa State come out and vote between the two parties, we will know who it is. INEC has promised and assured everyone that they will keep it free and fair. They will bring all the materials on time and ensure everyone comes out and votes. And in Adamawa State, just as I've told everybody, there was a peace accord signed, and I will respect the peace accord. Whoever who wins, be it the PDP or APC, I will call them and congratulate them, because everything is about our country. Whatever it is in the end, is all about Adamawa, and let's ensure peace shall reign. There is no substitute for peace, and that's what I'm telling everyone now.
All right, so we'll leave the conversation at that. Ibrahim Babaina, Lieutenant Commander, retired gubernatorial candidate for the PRP in Adamawa State. Thank you for joining me on Politics HQ.
Thank you.
All right, so eyes are going to be on the supplementary elections that are happening in Adamawa State as well as Kebbi State on April the 15th. And those are not the only two states. There are going to be some senatorial seats as well as constituencies that also have supplementary elections holding. And so there will be some attention on those as we wrap up this second part of Nigeria's election season. But before I leave you on tonight's Politics HQ, I have a few things I want you to think about right after this.